Southwest Airlines planes are grounded due to the employee protest against vaccine mandate.
Pentagon faces class suit on its vaccine mandate.
California state workers' vaccination rate lower than the state population despite Governor Newsom's leading on vaccine mandate.
Virginia Loudon County School Board has a big shakeup.
And the feature story, why Trump administration's fundamentally changed U.S.-China policy would not be easily reversed. Hello everyone, welcome to Wei and Kathy Show. I'm your host Wei Fang.
And I'm Kathy Zhang.
I was absent for about 1 week. I have a good reason because I toured the East Coast, basically the pre-U.S. American Revolution, historic site. I did a tour of that. The purpose? Well, I want to basically create a video series for our Chinese audience on the fundamental founding principles of the United States of America. And hope you approve that effort. And it's important to many, many Chinese Americans who came here for good life, but they may not understand the root and the value of this country. Okay, so glad to be back. And with no further ado, any comment?
Oh, I think, maybe later in the future, we can share more about what he saw here. On the field. Right?
Yeah, later part I will talk about where I went and what I see, what's interesting there. Anyway, look at today's news. First, as we said, the Southwest Airline, it's the airplane are grounded, and then last week they said because of whatever reason they just
weather
and whatever to me as a reader whatever reasons anyway. Okay, so Southwest employees turn out. They protest the vaccine mandate at the company's headquarters. Okay, so what happened there is
people are seeing with the long lines. They are demonstrating, holding signs, reading "Freedom not force," "Jab not or job." What kind of a choice is this? And they also have signs support Governor Abbott's ban on vaccine mandate, no jabs for jobs, and let's go, Brandon. A lot of people know what that means.
The protest follows a sheer chaos last week after the Southwest canceled hundreds of flights and leaving thousands of travelers stranded. The company's CEO blamed it on weather, denying that they have anything to do with the internal revolt against the vaccine mandates.
So Texas Governor Greg Abbott recently banned private companies from issuing such mandates and even issued an executive mandate stating that the vaccine should remain voluntary and never enforced. But Southwest refused to back down in its own requirement that employees have to be vaccinated against the CCP virus.
In the meantime, the judge in Texas federal court on October 12th temporarily halted the United Airlines vaccination mandate, keeping the employees who challenged the policy on the payroll while the litigation proceeds.
So what happened is among United Airlines' 67,000 employees, only less than 3% of it requested an exemption for the religious or medical reasons. But United Airlines said that if the medical exemptions were granted, the employees would be placed on medical leaves, which may or may not be paid, depending on union contracts. And for the employees whose religious exemptions were granted would be placed on indefinite unpaid leave, but remain seniority rights if they later return to the company. So 6 of the employees sued, seeking to stay on the payroll. They also seek to represent a nationwide class of more than 2,000 United employees. Said that the policy effectively means that they must choose between their beliefs or health and their livelihood.
Yeah. Well, okay. Currently, all U.S. airline companies except Delta Airline are enforcing the vaccine mandates for their employees. Delta claimed that it has reached more than 90% vaccination rate. Its CEO acknowledged to the Fox Business that there will need to be religious and medical accommodations made for those who wish to remain unvaccinated while avoiding having to threaten employment status.
Okay, so now let's turn to Pentagon. Pentagon is facing class action lawsuit over vaccine mandate on military, federal employees, and contractors. 24 service members from all 5 branches of the United States military, federal employees, and federal civilian contractors have joined in a class action lawsuit against the Department of Defense over its COVID-19 vaccine mandates.
Well, according to the plaintiffs, a legal firm is called Liberty Counsel. Okay, they filed the class lawsuit. The federal COVID-19 vaccine mandate violates the plaintiffs' sincerely held religious beliefs and have been refused by any religious exemption or accommodation. And they're asking the court to issue a temporary restraining order to prevent COVID-19 vaccine mandates from taking effect, and ultimately issue an injunction to prevent the Pentagon from enforcing the Biden administration's COVID-19 vaccine mandates.
This lawsuit was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida, listing President Joe Biden, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas as defendants. And the lawsuit noted that many of the 24 plaintiffs have had their requests for religious exemption denied, while other plaintiffs have been treated with dishonorable discharge, have been threatened with a dishonorable discharge, court-martial, termination, or other life-altering disciplinary measures for seeking such exemption.
Yeah, the next is an interesting piece of news. Okay, we have the phenomenon, we don't have the answer for you yet. Back in August, Governor Gavin Newsom, California's governor, became the first governor to impose a vaccine mandate on the state employees and healthcare workers. As of now, okay, nearly 40% of the state workers in California have remained unvaccinated against the coronavirus. This is according to the data from the State Human Resource Department. And that vaccination rate, which is about like 59%, is 10 points lower than the state's 62% is 10 points lower than the state's general population. So what happened there? That, we'll have to do that in another report. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the Loudon County, the famous and attention-catching Loudon County of California. So what's happening there, Kathy?
Okay, so Loudon County School Board actually had a big shakeup just over the weekend. So it's really the backlash over its handling of the sexual assault claims. The superintendent apologized, and one of the 9 board members resigned on October 15th. So what really happened? At the board meeting on June 22nd, if you remember, that 2 parents were arrested, and one of them, Scott Smith, who was reportedly engaged in an argument with a gender activist and was eventually arrested by the sheriff. And actually, I think we have a video there. That's C10. If we can show that he was arrested by sheriff and charged for confronting officials. He recently revealed that he became furious because his daughter was sexually assaulted by a self-claimed gender-fluid male student inside a girls' bathroom in her high school. That's back on May 28th. So almost 1 month before the board meeting, the same boy was later reported attacked someone else at another high school where he transferred. Early this month, and is now on electronic monitoring. The county sheriff office confirmed both incidents, but refused to confirm that's the same male student. So parent Scott Smith has accused the district leadership of covering up the assault. Then the superintendent of the Loudon County School Board, Scott Ziegler, said during the same school board meeting, which is on June 22nd, when Smith was arrested. And the superintendent at that time claimed that he's unaware of any record of assaults happening in the district's restroom. But on October 15th, last Friday, he admitted and apologized at a press conference when he read a statement saying that the district made errors in state reporting regarding the disciplinary incidents in schools, and stating that it had inadvertently omitted some information in the past. Because in Virginia, the state law requires that the reports shall be made to school and the district authorities regarding all assaults on school buses, on school grounds, or at school-sponsored activities by the superintendent. And the state law also directs district superintendents to annually report such incidents to the Virginia Department of Education. But a public database of reports show that at least one assault that wasn't being reported to the state authorities. And on the same day, October 15th, the Loudon County School Board member Beth Bartz announced her resignation without giving specific reasons. But she was one of the 6 members who are being recalled by a parent group called the Fight for Schools, which I had a feature report on it. Bartz previously denied publicly that such sexual assaults related to the transgenders are an issue in Loudon County schools. And a lot of people may or may not know Loudon County is home to some of the nation's top achieving public schools, gained national attention over the past months for becoming a battleground on the issue of critical race theory in schools. And Ian Pryor, the executive director of Fight for Schools, which initiated the recalling of the 6 school board members, just recently issued a statement saying that Bartz did a right thing to resign, but he also believes that, quote, her former colleagues should take notice. And he said that in a statement that the community should know, however, that the problem at Loudon County Public Schools and on the school board will go well beyond one school board member. And he stated that we will continue to shine a light on Loudon County Public Schools and will keep fighting until we have a school board of common sense, no nonpartisan members, and a superintendent who is accountable to parents and tells the truth. End quote.
Yep. So the next we're going to talk about former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and his top China policy advisor Miles Yu's trip to Northern California in the last weekend, basically for the 2 days, 3 events. So before that, I quickly just reported to you that Wei has been going through several, nearly like 10 cities, okay, in the East Coast. First to the Plymouth of Massachusetts, where the Mayflower, ship arrived in the 1620. And then I went to Boston, went to Harvard University. Well, I just learned that Harvard University is it's basically a religious school back then.
Oh.
And it was founded because, the New England colonists was worried about their future ministers. Their future ministers would be illiterate, so they have to learn how to read and write. And as of now, that Harvard, Harvard University's like a moose, right? Their priest is atheist. Can you believe in that? Anyway, so then I went on to the Lexington. I went to the Bunkers Hill and then Lexington and a number of revolutionary, historic site. Then I drove to the Jamestown of the Virginia, where the first colonists arrived in 1607. Okay, that's another birthplace of America. And then I went to Mount Vernon, the George Washington's home, and then Valley Forge, where George Washington, just toughed it out with his army in the 1777. All right, that's almost one of the darkest hours of the Revolutionary War, and so on and so forth. Okay, I went to a number of places, and then it was a very, good experience. I learned enough and much more than, what I know about the American history and its value. And indeed, what is the state before the revolution? All right, it's a special feeling, when you learn about what they lived through back then and how they made that decision. And then I was in the Independence Hall of the Philadelphia looking at those 57 chairs, all right, where 55 founding fathers, they were sitting there, and how they draft up the Constitution of the United States, and also the Declaration of Independence was also signed in that very room. Very heart-touching, and that's the birthplace of our country, and maybe we face a new rebirth of the country. Okay, so with no further ado.
Yeah, so I'm just, I think probably our audience would be interested to know that the series that Wei will be producing, is it gonna only be in Chinese, or someday would that be in English?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, my plan is this. Okay, we got 3 steps. Okay, phase one would be for Chinese American, mainly first generation. Okay, that's in Chinese. The second phase would be English. That's for the children of the Chinese parents. Okay, because that's what the parents really need. Okay, they send their kids to Harvard at $80,000 a year. They come back as their enemy. Okay, this is not rare. This is pretty common these days. They are very, very perplexed and very, very concerned. They want to show their kids what America is, and indeed what China is, the socialist China is. They're not listening. All right, so they need tools. It's mainly a matter of education, as many of you are also very aware of. So the third phase would be a general, just a general version for the American public, and I think we'll get there someday, and hopefully you can see that too. All right, this is Chinese American, okay? This is Wei coming here. I was not born here, but I stayed in this country for 30 years, seen enough, and now want to see more and produce something for our country, fellow men, and a fellow woman to have.
Yeah, I just think it's so important, especially just from our background, as a new immigrant to this country, people didn't really have a chance to really understand the history of the great country of where we call home now. And indeed, for all the immigrants, I think we need to just learn this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of fellow Americans would think that everyone should learn about this, and I would concur. During the weekend, actually, at the speech event by Mike Pompeo and Mao Zedong, he's a top China policy strategist. Before the speech, actually, one of the co-hosts of the event, the president of, it's called Value Advocacy Council, he actually did a short speech about rights. It's very interesting. We will, if you watch the live streaming of yesterday's event, you would see, you should see that. I don't know how you feel. I think it's quite interesting. He had some questions to ask people to distinguish: is this a right or is something else? Yeah, it's a very
educational session, right?
Right.
Okay, so Mike Pompeo and Mao Zedong came to Bay Area last weekend, and then what did they bring to us? I think it's very, very good content, very good, things to know, information to know, very revealing. And we're gonna share that with you in the next piece. However, we're gonna move on to the Safe Chat, as you know. And so if you can, follow us over there, and our backstage staff, please post the link. And then in the meantime, if you have not installed it, please do so. Safe Chat, just search for Safe Chat, and you got a golden color, the key shape, right? The shell, the shell shape. And so they can install that, so that we can continue our discussion about Pompeo's trip to Northern California.
Yeah. In the meantime, I think if you still would like to have not give us your email, but would like to keep up with what's going on with our channel, but because sometimes things happen, as you know, in the past. So feel free to send us your email. It won't be used for any other purpose, but just to keep in contact with us. So if our assistant can also post the link for you to register your email, or you can just send it to the email address here, sohnews@soundofhope.org.
Yeah, okay. Please leave us with your email. I really appreciate that. All right, let's move on, okay? Say 1, 2, 3.